Okay, guys, what's going on? This is Kansas City Mavericks and the Chiefs fan 2006 here. And today, this is my first video, and this is where we're gonna get my haircuts in the future. You know, buzz cuts. I'm not gonna show the whole buzz cut process, but I'm gonna do the picture, you know, including deepening art. But anyways, today we're going to watch the Kansas City Mavericks, the playoffs. It just started a minute ago.
NHL club this season making 46 stops and a 3-2 win against the Islanders back on February 14th. The Mavericks will roll out forwards Jake Jaremko, Loren Ouellette, and Ryan Harrison. And we're underway here in game one on a big hit right off the bat here on the far side of the red line as Tommy Muck runs into his man right between the benches. It's rattled back in here by the Americans. That was ex-Maverick Robideau sent out in front and punched just wide. Here's Jaremko behind his own net. He'll play it to the near corner, sent back to the line, and swept back in deep by the Americans. Jake Jaremko trying to tie up his man in behind the net. That was Stefan Fournier. Fournier trying to shake his way free. Fournier, who picked up his 100th career assist on Saturday in a win against the Wichita Thunder. Tommy Muck giving a good rock there, and Harrison, who reinserts back in the lineup tonight, able to twist that back out to center ice.
And as we've already seen, Joe, right off the jump, both sides running at each other for big hits, the physicality. We expected it to start early, and we've seen it already just 30 seconds in.
Here's Jordan Sambrook at the red line, tried to filter it across, picked off by the Americans. Here's Jack Combs bringing it back in. He was the second leading goal scorer in the ECHL this year, point getter rather. And now back out far side of the blue line. That one blocked out to center ice by Cole Koski.
Turnover for the Mavericks led to a chance early for the Americans. That's what the Mavericks have to avoid here in the first.
This one's wrapped up hard around the far boards and didn't connect, so this will be icing against the Americans.
And you notice when the Americans get into the offensive zone, too, they're constantly looking back across to the weak side of the ice, and the Mavericks need to be aware of that. Reach out that stick, get it in that pass lane. Kelvis did a good job there as they tried to cross it to the right wing circle.
Tonight's officiating crew, Tyler Haskell and David Lilly are the referees. Quinn Schaefer and Tyler Willey are the linesmen. Americans have it in their own zone, or the Mavericks rather in the attacking zone, try to center it. And now here comes Sauceman back in, jumping up on the rush. He's sent to the ice there by Tristan Mullen, who reinserts back into the lineup tonight for the Mavericks. His first game since January 16th. After a long stint up with the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Sent across here, played in front, and just over the stick of Rosen in the high slot. Rosen, who had 3 goals against the Cyclones back this weekend. Americans bring it right back in. They put it off the goal post on the blocker side of Starrett. And now a soft chip in by Casey Carew, who had a goal on Saturday night against the Cyclones, his second as a Maverick. Colton Hargrove directs it out to center ice, Hank Crone. He'll play it off left side, McCauley. Should have played out in front, and they score. Colton Hargrove receives the pass out in front, and the Americans with an early 1-0 lead.
Yeah, right now the Mavericks still trying to settle into this game, and Allen has set the tone early. Again, back in transition. It doesn't take them long. They can work it right to the front of the net. Hargrove cutting behind Sambrook on that far side.
Not early.
Not much of a chance for Starrett right out in front. A good look for Allen. And they take advantage. Mavericks got to quickly get into this game.
5-2. I hope we can do that again with the
was
Owls.
Second on the team for the Americans this year with 39 goals. He gets the early icebreaker here for the Americans. The Americans crank it back down ice up the far wing. Theo Calvis scoops up now in the near corner. He'll take it behind Starrett's net. Mavericks in the home orange with the navy and white trims getting left to right across your screen here in this first period. Americans in the road whites with the red trim. They'll play it back to the blue line. Wrist shot here, and that one broke off. Started into the near corner. Now Hugo Waugh back on it, racing out through center ice. He's pressured from behind there by Justin Young. Luke Stevens will steer this one to the near corner. That one just out of the reach of Koski. And now Novak, a centering pass off the stick of Hebert. Here's Hebert charging in down the left circle. Played it in front. And what a stop by Starrett, who slid across to his left to make the save.
I'll be pissed.
A big save there for Starrett as Vanderbeck brings it back up the other way.
I've been winning this for my whole life.
Loose puck now in the center of the slot. The Americans might have a rush here, 2-on-1, as Jack Holmes tried to center it across for Liam Finley, who was voted 5th in the rookie scoring race. Here's Vanderbeck, a shot, and he just missed over the crossbar, and it rattles out of play. First period brought to you by AGI, the official first period sponsor of the Kansas City Mavericks.
So you're already seeing a couple of things happen here, Joe, in the defensive zone for the Mavericks. That time, Rosen pinched up right at the blue line to try and take that away. Hebert went around him, set up that chance where Starrett had the save. And on the other end, you saw Combs. He had to look at the net, and he instantly was trying to go across. You're going to see that all night long from Allen.
Couple dangerous fours to watch out for if you're the Mavericks on this Allen team. Mandolisi out behind his own net. He'll steer to the near corner, cut off there by Borchard. Borchard plays in front, Lamb, a shot. That one turned aside by that near pad of Mandolisi.
Missed the score,
Cade Borchard with 7 points in his first 8 games as a Maverick. Second star of the game on Friday night. Had a couple goals in the weekend series against the Cyclones. He's been impressive on that third line with Josh Lamb and AJ Vanderbeck. Vanderbeck, another one of those rookies who recently came over from NCAA play. Now the Americans able to fire it back up ice. That one off the stick of Finley and an offsides here against the Americans.
Yeah, and expect that Vanderbeck, Lammen, and Borchard line to get a lot of looks tonight if they can set up in zone. They work the puck beautifully across. Lammen, the setup man, able to work down in front of the crease and try and work the puck out towards those wings where Borchard and Vanderbeck, they've got great shots and they can get it off quick. Look for that line to generate some offense tonight.
4.5 minutes gone here in the first period. The Americans with a 1-0 lead over the Mavericks. Here's Tommy Muck being watched closely by McCauley. Muck, who had a couple goals this weekend as well. 2 goals and 4 points in his last 2 games. This one's swept back in behind Mandolisi's net. Here's Luke Stevens out to the right point. Calvis took a look intentionally wide. Tried to feed it for Stevens, and now the Americans able to advance back out through center ice. McCauley taps it there for Hank Crone, who was the ECHL's leading scorer this season, 49 goals and 105 points. He set a Americans record for most goals in a single season. Also his rookie year. Mavericks bring it right back in. A shot there by Mullen, getting his first shot in quite a while since coming back from the Mavericks here. We mentioned January 16th, his last action with the team. And now here's Stefan Fournier. He'll steer it back into the Allen defensive zone. 2-2 the shots here, just past 5.5 minutes played in this first period. Americans looking to weave their way out through center ice. Rosen taps it up ahead. Here's Casey Carew. Tried to filter that one further through center ice for Lammen. And now the Americans bring it right back in. Left circle, a shot right on Starrett, and he'll steer it aside safely for Elias Rosen. McLaughlin will find a little bit of skating room now. Here's Carew, near side of the red line. Up ahead, Rosen jumping on the rush. His shot right into the bread basket there, and it broke off Mandolisi into the low slot.
Dude.
And now the Mavericks pick it off at center ice. The Borchard, Vanderbeck, Lammen line back out there. And here's Harrison jumping on the ice. Harrison back in the lineup tonight after missing the last 3 games. 3 goals and 5 points in his last 3 games coming into tonight. Won a couple Kelly Cups with the Colorado Eagles earlier in his career. And an icing here on the Americans.
Yeah, the Mavericks have a lot of experience on their roster of players who have hoisted that Kelly Cup. Talk about Ryan Harrison, and then 3 coming from the Florida Everblades in their Kelly Cup championship last season. You got Jordan Sandbrook, Jake Jeremko, and Jake McLaughlin. So the Mavericks going to have to lean on that experience through this run.
Face off one cleanly here by the Mavericks. Muck backhands it down the slot. Turnaround shot here by Ouellette, missed wide. Puck up on the near wing now. Americans looking to scoop it out. Chad Butcher will steer it out to center ice. Picking up on the far side. Nice little pass there to himself. Played in front. Coombs a backhander. What a stop there by Starrett on Jack Coombs.
Oh, that's a nice stop. I'm not even going to lie.
As we mentioned, second leading point getter across the entire ECHL this season. Shane Starrett with a couple timely saves here in this first period. Sent back in front, and they try to set up Hank Crone on the back door. Rattles back around near corner, jumping on it there. Colby McCauley, he'll cycle it back down low. Crone, centering pass, and what an electric pad save by the right pad of Shane Starrett out in front. Here's Ty Farmer, who won a national championship with the UMass Amherst Minutemen back in 2021. Starrett will steer this one aside. Konecny will play it up out of here. Here's Koski racing back through center ice over the center circle. Koski button hooks to the slot, tried to drop it there for Konecny, who was activating up on the rush. And it's steered back to Carew. Into the skates of Koski. He'll corral it left side of the blue line. In front, Carew walking down a shot, and a great save there by the catching glove of Mandalisi. We'll step aside. 8 minutes gone here in the first period. The Mavericks trailing the Americans 1-0. We'll be right back. You're watching Mavericks Hockey on Flow Sports and the Mavericks Hockey Network.
What makes for a great vacation depends on who you...
And welcome back inside the Cable Dome Arena. It's the Americans 1 and the Mavericks 0. 8 minutes gone here in the first period. The Mavericks have met the Americans twice in the playoffs in their history as a franchise. That one going wide, but gloved out of the air by Shane Starrett. The Americans were 23-82 during the regular season when scoring first.
Well,
we talked about the importance of that category for the Mavericks. They were 22-10-5.
Basically,
getting that first goal, losing record in the regular season when allowing the first goal, but brand new season like we mentioned here in this virtually 2-month-long quest for the Kelly Cup beginning here tonight. Here's Sauceman backhands it off the apron of the cage. Sauceman, a former member of the Idaho Steelheads, one of those members of this Americans roster with a lot of miles on his odometer. Here's Tommy Muck racing out through center ice, giving a couple taps there from Jack Combs. He'll rattle this one into the far corner, giving chase Cade Borchard. Swept up the far side, this one out to center ice and fielded there by Jordan Sambrook. One of those players that, like you mentioned, Alex, winning a Kelly Cup with the Florida Everblades last season. Here's Konecny, far side of his own, Calvis rather, far side of the blue line. In front, Vanderbeck walking down the slot, a shot rather deflected right in on Mandalisi. Lamming behind the cage. Borchard scoops it up, curls out to the bottom of the near circle. Now a hammer shot from Sambrook, rattled around in front, loose puck. Scooped up by Vanderbeck, trying to protect near circle. His shot, and that one covered by Mandalisi with 10-12 to go here in the first.
Can't do anything.
Lakewood Local Pub and Grill offers a large array of amazingly delicious, freshly made entrees, appetizers, and pizzas. Come discover this neighborhood gem that Lakewood locals cherish. Enjoy our cheers-like atmosphere where you'll find our staff and patrons to be friendly and welcoming. Lakewood Local is the Mavericks' official away game watch location, located a few miles from the arena at 811 Northeast Lakewood Boulevard in Lee's Summit, Missouri. First good shift of the game there, Alex, for the Mavericks.
Mavericks finally able to set up in the offensive zone, work the puck around. They didn't have a very lengthy possession, but enough to get a good look from Sambrook with traffic in front of Mandalisi. Oh, almost a chance for the Americans.
Starrett sprawling out at the top of his crease there. Looked like he might have caught an edge. Here's Colton Hargrove at center ice. They'll wheel it near side. Americans bring it right back in. That was Ty Farmer trying to get past the check of Sambrook. They'll sweep this one up ahead, and Hugo Waugh with Koski and Stevens. Waugh will wing this one into the near corner. Around it goes. Colby McCauley scoops it up. Try to headman it for Crone. Spin back in deep by the Mavericks. Give it a jolt there. It was Koski in the far corner. Koski, who was second on the team during the regular season with 20 goals for the Mavericks. Here's Crone. He'll tap it far side. Hargrove back to Crone out high towards the blue line. Little shake and bake there against Lammin. He'll drop it off at the far point. Center point now, intentionally wide. McCauley trying to scoop it up. McCauley under pressure there from Rosen and McLaughlin. And now Rosen out through center ice. Rosen has 8 points in his last 3 games. He was the first star in both games this past weekend against the Cyclones. This one swept right through the goal mouth. And now it's gunned around by Fournier to the far side. Americans will negate the icing here as Grant Hebert comes in to play it. Jake McLaughlin, a good job tying up former Maverick Mikhail Robideau, rather. This one sent towards the net off a skate, now picked up by Jake McLaughlin. McLaughlin weaving out through center ice. He'll ladle this one in with the Mavericks in the middle of a wholesale line change.
Yeah, both the last 2 possessions, the Mavericks, as soon as they looked to get into the offensive zone, they needed a change. So it's been Allen going back in and out of the offensive zone. This could help. It's an icing against Allen.
The Americans would go on to win their 2nd consecutive Kelly Cup that year. They beat the Mavericks in 2016. Carter Verhaeghe of the NHL's Florida Panthers, he was a member of that Missouri Mavericks team during that 2015-2016 season, in which the Mavericks racked up a franchise best 109 points that year. Verhaeghe currently playing for the Florida Panthers in the NHL playoffs. This one's hoisted back down ice, and another icing here against the Americans.
Of course, got a tall task going against those Boston Bruins. Verhaeghe, a big piece in the playoffs last year for the Panthers. I know it's about the Mavericks and the Americans right now, but they'll need a player like that to add some offense to that Florida team.
The Coachella Valley Firebirds, the Mavericks AHL affiliate, also kicking off their postseason action tonight against the Tucson Roadrunners. Americans flip it out to center ice. Calvis off now to Carew. He'll shovel this one deep behind Mandolisi's net. Carew is the leading point getter at the University of Niagara this year before coming over to the Mavericks. Here's Jack Combs. He'll scoop this behind the cage. Here's Chad Butcher, top of the far circle. Across it goes, a one-timer. That one flexed aside by the near pad of Starrett. Sent back in around behind the net. Tommy Muck giving a jolt here in the near corner by Chad Butcher. Scooped up by Theo Calvis. Calvis tried to scoop it out, and he's able to muscle it just to the line, and it's eventually twisted out by Jake Jaremko. Carew took a couple good bumps there from Williams. He's able to get it deep.
Right now, every time Allen's headed in the offensive zone, when they do set up, they're looking towards the points, and they're sending that winger on the far side right to the front of the crease to try and screen Starrett. Mavericks got to pay attention to that, what Allen's looking to do in the offensive zone.
Here's Gabe Borchard. He'll rifle one rink wide. A.J. Vanderbeck scoops it up left side. He'll throw on the brakes. Stretching across. Borchard walking in a shot, and that one stopped in front by Mandolisi.
Good look for the Mavericks. Borchard had to collect that puck at the right wing circle. It gave Mandolisi a little bit of time to get in position and make the save.
Now Vanderbeck a shot from the top of the right circle. Waffle boarded aside by Mandolisi. Sent out in front and punched just wide by Borchard as he was set up by Vanderbeck.
Another good look. We expected these two to find their rhythm early. They've adjusted very well to the professional game and looking to add more down this first round.
Cade Borchard had the game-winning goal on Saturday. 2 goals and 4 points in his last 2 games. The former Minnesota State Mankato Maverick. Centering pass here. Crone tried to sneak in behind the defense. And now here comes Cole Koski. He'll drop it off for Hugo Waugh. Hugo Waugh, nice little move there to the left circle. The backhand, blade in front. And able to connect with Stevens on the doorstep. Allen races back the other way. Tapped there by Koski. Right onto the stick of the Americans. They'll try and center it. Ricochets right out in front dangerously, but it's steered aside off the glass there by Jordan Sambrook. Koski trying to nudge it free. Here's Grant Hebert, who's had an impressive start to his campaign with the Americans. 26 points in 37 games played during the regular season. He's jostled to the ice there by Tristan Mullins. Sends it out in front. He was trying to connect with Carew at the top of the crease. And icing waved off. Good hustle there by Novak. And they're going to call Theo Calvis for a penalty here, I believe. 5:13 to go here in the first period. Mavericks heading to the PK when we return. They trail the Americans 1-0. You're watching Mavericks hockey on Flow Sports and the Mavericks Hockey Network.
what makes...
And welcome back inside the Cable Dome Arena. The Mavericks heading to the Gray Chiropractic penalty kill. Theo Calvis in the box for holding for the Mavericks. And Alex, a couple power play goals stranded for the Mavericks in this most recent weekend series against the Cyclones.
Yeah, big penalty kill here early in this one in the first period. A tough break for the Mavericks. Calvis out-hustled for that icing and then took a penalty. Not what you want to see there. Mavericks got to hunker down, use this PK as some momentum.
Colton Hargrove, the goal scorer, has it for the Americans. He'll walk his way to the bottom of the far circle, play it back out high. Hargrove on the far half wall. Saucer back out high for Chris Mylaria at the center point. Off now to Crone. Walks in. Back to Mylaria drive. And that one right into the breadbasket of Shane Starrett.
Another look to the top of the zone using those points for the Americans. They sent two to the front of the net that time, just unable to get a deflection on it. Starrett able to eat it up and no rebound, most importantly, with the two forwards right there in front.
Never miss a goal with Flow Hockey. You can watch today's event live along with all other Flow Hockey games for the rest of the season. Visit Flow Hockey TV for more information and to sign up for your subscription today. That's FLOHockey.tv. Mavericks steer it down the ice with 50 seconds gone here on this penalty kill. Mavericks were 223 for 273 during the regular season on the penalty kill. The Americans with the best power play in the ECHL during the regular season. This pass cut off by Jake Jaremko, marches up ice. He's got Ouellette heading towards the net. Jaremko will smartly weave back out to center ice to kill some more time and sling it back in.
Pretty good start for the penalty kill for the Mavericks. Just that one look from the top of the point for Mylaria so far for the Americans.
Yeah, Chris Mylaria, former Maverick. He played 26 games back during the 2020-2021 season for Kansas City. He played in all 72 regular season games for the Americans this year. He was a +10, the best on the team in that category. Here's Jack Combs wheeling his way out high. Down low it goes for Novak on the near half boards. Saucerman back to Novak. Left circle, and that one shot blocked to the line, kept it by Saucerman. He'll play it down the wall. Tommy Muck scoops it in behind the goal line. Turned over there as McCauley's able to dish it for Novak, far corner, just outside the far circle. Novak back to the line, back to even strength with Mavericks. Here's Saucerman, a one-timer, and that one stopped by Starrett, who stood over to his right.
Excellent job getting across the crease for Shane Starrett as that power play came to an end for the Americans. Still had possession in the offensive zone. Defenseman at the top could feel Theo Calvis crashing back into the zone, moved it to Saucerman, and Starrett a good job tracking that puck across to the left wing circle.
First period brought to you by AGI, the official first period sponsor of the Kansas City Mavericks. A couple big stops, like you mentioned, Alex, there by Shane Starrett on that penalty kill. That was Colton Saucerman on the most recent opportunity, who led all Allen defensemen this year during the regular season with 38 points, playing in his 56th career playoff game here tonight. Here's a shot. That one whistled just wide. A loose puck battled for. Swatted to the line. Now Grant Hebert able to chop it back in further. He took a hit from behind. Arms of the referee stayed down. Hebert shaking up on the play. Marching back up ahead, Theo Calvis. He's got a man with him. It's Tristan Mullen. Now he tried to knife it free. Now Mullen, a good rock there in the near corner. Here's Mullen at it, knifed off his blade. He throws another check as he continues to battle there in deep. Kolakowski trying to work it free. It's eventually ladled back out to center. Good to see Tristan Mullen roughing it up, as we mentioned, his first game in over 3 months with Kansas City. Here's Kolakowski racing back in. His shot deflected up over the cage. Kolakowski barrels in behind the cage to play it. Now marching back on the wing, McCauley. Off now to Colton Hargrove, just outside the far circle. Centers in front for Crone, a shot. That one whistled just up over the crossbar. Play back to the right point, a shot. That one off the strings of the net. Crone tried to spin it out in front. Hargrove sent down from behind the cage. They're going to call McLaughlin, it looks like, for a cross-check here.
Yeah, Mavericks got away with that call once. They're not going to get the benefit of the doubt there twice. You talked about the one on Harrison that outletted that rush, and McLaughlin here behind the net maybe a little more noticeable right where the puck was. The Mavericks going to have to rely on that PK again.
Number 27, Kansas City.
And so it's going to be Jake McLaughlin who gets the gate for cross-checking, and the Mavericks right back to the Gray Chiropractic penalty kill. A big kill there on that first opportunity on the PK for the Mavericks. They'll look to follow it up here, but
this is not good.
Look at the penalty there by Jake McLaughlin as he sent Colton Hargrove to the ice behind Shane Starrett's net. Here's Crone across for my Larry, but it hopped past his stick and back out to center ice. Chris Myler in his third consecutive playoff run with the Allen Americans. He was second in scoring for defensemen this year during the regular season. Finley will tap it down low. Hargrove tried to fire it out high, and now Sandbrook jumps on it. He'll slowly weave his way out through center ice and chip that one in softly behind Mandolisi's net, who comes out to play it.
Another strong start for the penalty-killing unit for the Mavericks. It's been a strength of theirs all season long, especially here at home, Joe. They're going to need to keep it hunkered down again here and find momentum off of it if they're able to get another kill.
Eight short-handed goals for the Mavericks during the regular season. Josh Lamont had 4 of those. They'll saucer this out to the center point, walking in, played left circle, a shot. That one just over the crossbar past that glove side of Starrett. Here's my Larry, just outside the far circle. They'll zip it down low. Combs steers it back for Hargrove. Under pressure there from Ouellette. Combs behind his own net. Behind the net, rather. He'll shovel it out high for Crone. Center point by Larry. Across it goes. Finley walking in. His shot, and that one stopped in front of half-speeder. Rebound free off the post. And Starrett somehow able to keep it out. He swatted it back to the line. Here's Finley, walks in, left circle.
I thought he scored for a second.
Back out in front by Larry in the deep slot side of the net. What a save by Starrett with the left pad as he absolutely
he saved it.
Hank Crone on the back door. Calvis unable to clear.
That's a nice save.
To the far circle, drive.
How did he make that save, by the way?
Over the crossbar. By Larry keeps it in, being watched every inch of the way there by Jaremko. Here's Finley, walks in, his shot blocked. Rebound in front, side of the net, and they score. Jack Combs, a buzzer beater. Will it count?
You gotta be kidding me, dude.
The red light flash behind the net. The signal on the ice from the officials was a goal.
At the end of
as the Americans celebrate here, it would be a power play goal if it counted.
We're never gonna do it, Allen.
Looks like Liam Finley let it go. A mad scramble there. And it is showing 2-0 on the scoreboard here inside the arena and on your screen. And it looks like it will count. A buzzer beater goal for Jack Combs, who's had a long career, but just his 5th playoff game. And now they put 0.7 seconds back on the clock here.
Oh, it's not over?
And so a little bit of a dagger for the Mavericks. And so the horn sounds to officially end this first period. And a late strike on the power play. The Americans up 2-0 here after 1.
Oh, like the Mavericks were just scrambling there to get to the horn and 0.7 away. It was tough. Starrett was bailing them out left and right. Huge saves. Too much traffic right in front. The puck bouncing across that blue plane too many times to your liking in the final 30 seconds. They avoided it once, like the initial penalty we even talked about. Right now, the Mavericks unable to avoid things twice. They got playing their game in the second period, Joe. I mean, let's be honest. Allen has come out, played their type of hockey. The Mavericks need to get back to Maverick hockey, get that physicality back up, and set up in the offensive zone. Take things away right over that defensive blue line. They're not doing it right now, but strong second period last weekend. See what they do here.
13-9, the shots in favor of the Americans in that first period. We'll step aside when we're here at the Mavericks. We'll skate from right to left across your screen, and Alex hoping for a better second period here from the Mavericks.
This is our
started just like they started the first with physicality. Big hit from Ouellette. Another one. And you expect the Mavericks to be fired up in the second period, but they got to play smart as well.
And an early icing call here against the Mavericks. Just 17 seconds into the period. And so the Americans got goals from Colton Hargrove and Jack Combs back in that first period. Hargrove's goal came 2:21 into the period. Then Jack Combs, a buzzer beater with just under a second left on the clock for his first career playoff goal. And so the Americans with a 2-0 lead here over the Mavericks. They won the draw, but they'll have to redo this one. Both teams going with 11 forwards here tonight. That's been pretty standard for the Mavericks all season long. Ryan Harrison and Laurent Ouellette, the extra forwards tonight. This one blocked out to center ice, trying to race after it is Laurent Ouellette. Cruising into the left circle, trying to backhand out in front. That one broke off Mandolisi and wide of the cage. Here's Ryan Harrison now. Kansas City veteran out to the near point. They'll rattle this one back in deep. Laurent Ouellette giving a good rock there by Hebert. Ouellette trying to shake his way free. He'll find a little bit of room now just outside the circle. Swept back in deep. Jake Jaremko trying to fend off a couple checks here from Gagnon. He'll wheel his way out high to the top of the near circle. Button hooks back in deep. Shot here, blocked out in front. Loose puck now for Kelvis. A drive blocked in front. Rebound skittered right. Sent back out in front. And sliding to his right to make the stop was Mandolisi on Lammen.
Much better start here in period 2 for the Mavericks. A couple of looks, and it all started from Laurent Ouellette. Couple big hits, and then able to break out through transition and get a backhand on Mandolisi. You need to find Mavericks hockey somewhere. It's good to go to the man who's been here for 5 seasons.
That was Hugo Waugh. My apologies with that last bit. Hugo Waugh, who led the Mavericks with 5 goals and 10 points against the Americans in the season series. He had the game winner just a week ago tonight in Allen. That was a 2-0 shutout win for the Mavericks. Shane Starrett stopped all 34 shots that he faced in that game for back-to-back shutouts for Shane Starrett. This one sent towards the net. That one blocked aside to the end boards. Sandbrook giving a jolt, poked out in front, and they score. It looked like it was Colton Hargrove on the doorstep once again, and the Americans strike early in the second period to lead it 3-0.
Again, too much happening in front, Joe. A quick possession for the Americans. It starts with that chance from the point. Mavericks right out in front, unable to collect it. The Americans force that turnover off the wall from Sandbrook with a little pressure. And able to just sneak in there. Colton Hargrove in front. I believe just poked it in and underneath the left pad of Starrett as he was trying to get over in position.
Yeah, you saw that diving play there by Hank Crone to push it over to Hargrove, and an easy chance for him. This one glanced wide off the end wall out in front, and that one off the apron of the cage. Elias Rosen will scoop it up now. He'll hammer it off the glass and back down into Allen territory. Jaremko racing after it. And so the Mavericks in need of a goal here. Set out in front, and that one rattled off the glove hand, I believe, of Mandolisi. Might have got a piece of the iron as well. Carew battling to keep it alive in the near corner. Roughs up Eric Williams behind the cage, squirts out in front. Wrist shot, and that one got a piece of the shaft of the stick, it looked like, of Mandolisi. That was Lammen with the bid out in front. Lammen right back in close quarters, trying to play for Casey Carew. And now here's Liam Finley. He'll softly ladle it back into Kansas City territory.
Mavericks with a couple of good looks. Almost had a third. Chad Butcher able to deflect that out of the zone. Mavericks seems like an obvious point at this point, but they got to get this next one.
Trailing 3-0 here, just past 2.5 minutes played here in the second period. 14-12, the shots in favor of the Americans. Trying to fish it out of some traffic there was A.J. Vanderbeck, the Northern Michigan product. This one angled back out to Vanderbeck. They'll play it up ahead. Lammen with Borchard. Borchard cuts across the slot to Vanderbeck. Far circle, a wrist shot. That one blocked up and into the netting. Second period brought to you by Macadoodles, the official second period sponsor of Mavericks hockey. And like you said, Alex, a little bit slow out of the gate in that first period, and the Mavericks quickly down 3-0 here and in need of a goal in this second period.
Yeah, when it comes to the playoffs, especially game one, there's a lot of jitters out there, and when you fall behind early, you find yourself chasing in all aspects of the game, and not where you want to be. The Mavericks need to find a way to generate offense because they need it, but also settle themselves down. They got to slow the game down, find their rhythm offensively.
Vanderbeck steers it back to the line, shot wide of the cage. Borchard in pursuit of the puck, finishes his check on Gagnon. And now a battle here along the near half boards, trying to reach in and play it is Borchard. Lammen trying to fish it out of his own skates. Down low, Vanderbeck out high. Here's a shot from Lammen right into the breadbasket and held on to by Mandolisi.
Continue to get those good looks. Continue to work the puck in the offensive zone. They're starting to slow things down offensively like we just talked about. You get behind 3-0, things start going 100 miles an hour, Joe, and you just got to find a way to find your game.
Mavericks have had a couple good second periods the last couple games. 3 goals on Saturday against Cincinnati in a 5-2 win. They had a 4-goal second period on Friday night. Also in a 5-2 win against the Cyclones in the weekend sweep. They've won their last 4 games in a row coming into tonight, outscoring their opponent 18-4 over those last 4 games, trying to find that rhythm like we mentioned here tonight, trailing 3-0. Tristan Mullen trying to fish it out of the linesman, skates off the tie-up. Mullen going in against Larry. Once again, the former Maverick. This one hoisted high out to center ice. They tried to spring it for Hank Crone. Offsides here as Crone was ahead of the play. They're going to bring this face-off all the way back down inside Allen territory. Be sure to download the Dash app if you haven't already. That's Dash Auction, DASH Dash.
You got to talk about the uniqueness of this series too, Joe. The Mavericks, the lower seed, but starting the first 3 at home, a 3-4. And so you expected Allen as the top seed to come out strong. They have. They're saved by Vandalisi. But the Mavericks, they got to use that home ice advantage, though. They're only going to have these 3 before 4 straight on the road. Such a unique series to start out this Kelly Cup playoffs for both sides.
Yeah, Mavericks a very strong team on home ice this year. They had the second fewest regulation losses, just 8 during the regular season in the entire ECHL. Spun out front, sprawling to it there was Starrett, and missing an opportunity there were the Americans. Larry across the line, Farmer, deep slide now, Crone spins it off the skates of McLaughlin. And now they'll swing it back and around to the near side. Poke free, Luke Stevens on it for the Mavericks. And another close call there for Kansas City. Mavericks bring it right back through center ice. Stevens got caught up in the skates, and now the Americans look for transition left to right. Good denial there by Jake McLaughlin, and he has it back behind his own net. McLaughlin, 19 points in 32 games played with the Mavericks this season. One of those key players they recently got back from the Coachella Valley Firebirds in the AHL. Here's Chad Butcher racing out through center ice. He'll leave it right side. Trying to corral it there was Finley. Speared it back in front, and out to cover it was Shane Starrett.
A lot happening again in front of the net. A Starrett, the Americans creating that chaos right above the goal line. Another look here and a big save by Starrett, and that time able to get to the rebound. But in that shot, you see 2 white jerseys right there, so Starrett had to be on top of that rebound, and he was.
And another scenario of a puck poked off a Mavericks stick and dangerously right out in front. Good alertness by Shane Starrett to cover that one. Mavericks looking to break it out. Tristan Mullen on the near wing. He'll go rink wide. Up ahead, Jaremko in stride. He's got Carew heading towards that. He'll play it off Mullen. A rush shot. He scores! Tristan Mullen fires it low past the glove of Vandalisi.
Finally, they score a goal.
Back to 1-2.
They're not being shown out. They're not being shown out by the American Allen, thankfully.
Near side push. Stop at the top of the right wing circle and
I think this is American Allen's revenge game after at least shut them
and a
out.
much needed goal for Kansas City.
At least we're not being shown out. That's a good thing.
Trade-off with Captain Nick Postajov going up
No,
to
we
the
need 2 more goals to tie it up.
because he can do just that.
And welcome back to the Cable
One more forward after we tie to get in the lead.
His 15th goal of the year, or he had 14 goals during the regular season. Obviously his first goal of these Kelly Cup playoffs, and a huge one to bring the Mavericks back to within 2. Mullen had a 4-game point streak with the Mavericks prior to being called
Finally,
up to Coachella Valley in January, picking up right
about time.
Here's Borcher trying to swagger his way back in. He's roughed up in the far corner by Robideau. Trying to pry it free. Lamon sets it up for Vanderbeck. A shot. That one whistled just wide on the glove side. And the Americans able to angle this one back out to center ice. Retrieving is Vanderbeck for the Mavericks.
So far, I think
stutter step there by Koski.
By the Mavericks.
Mavericks have to get back. The shot here from the Americans whistles wide and out of the zone. This one careened off a stick at center ice. Vanderbeck trying to walk it back in, trying to set it there for
play
a
opportunities.
And now marching back in is Tommy Muck. He'll throw it on net from outside that near circle. And holding on to it is Mandolisi. We'll step aside here with 13:46 to go. Tristan Mullen has the Mavericks on the board. It's 3-1. You're watching and listening to Mavericks Hockey on Flow Sports and the Mavericks Hockey Network.
I hope we could get better on 3 other games. Because we're having a bad start.
5 points in his last 5.
Okay, we're back.
Picks up the secondary assist there on Tristan Mullen's goal.
They can score another goal.
Obviously,
it's Allen's score right there. Across the zone to make 3 points. I was hoping that they could do the same thing.
Game this season. Here's a shot.
Actually,
aside by Stair. Another chance.
And by there.
Stair came out
and
to
one
stop
by there. I was hoping that
now Elias Rosen opens up ahead. Koski racing out through center ice, gets past a couple. His shot, that one turned aside by Mandolisi. Koski scoops up his own rebound. Put it in front. Goal!
Oh, Ray! Oh my God! Wow!
And the Mavericks lightning it up.
Wow! Back to this is. I don't even know what to say, but it has been 29 seconds.
Good drive by Koski. Good job to pick up his own rebound. And an excellent play by Rosen to pinch down.
And we already scored.
Koski has his head up around the net, looking for an option. Finds one, and Rosen, he knows how to put it through the back of the net right now.
Elias Rosen on an absolute tear lately. His 4th goal in the last 4 games. And now 9 points over that stretch. He was the first star of the night on both Friday and Saturday last weekend against Cincinnati. And just like that, the Mavericks with 2 strikes here in the second and down by 1, looking for more. Mavericks bring it right back in on a shot here to flex up and out of play.
I'm just texting someone.
Yeah, we talked about the second period being the period where the Mavericks have gotten to their game recently. It started with a goal for the Americans to make things 3-0. But since that point, the Mavericks a lot better in the offensive zone. Lengthier possessions, more looks at Mandolisi.
I agree, man.
Making him move and react and finding those options. Great job by
told you we're not being shut out.
Set up both those goals and Mullen and
Okay,
Rosen.
we need 2 more points to take the lead. Well, out of that, we need 1 more point to take a tie.
Picking up the secondary assist there on Rosen's goal. And Rosen with an absolutely beautiful finish. And a penalty upcoming here. It's going to go against the Americans. So the Mavericks will head to the power play and a chance to tie the game.
Man, where did the offense and defense come from? After being 3 down, 3-0.
It's going to be a trip.
Oh, it's a trip power
Mavericks
play.
heads the Independence power.
How about a power play goal? How about that?
In the box, so look
that's
there
okay.
at the top of your screen on the penalty. The Mavericks were the third best power play across the entire ECHL during the regular season. With 37
I think
power
we're going to
play
win in
goals on
overtime.
home ice. They had 3 against the Americans in the season series, looking to tie the game here.
Throughout the third
Mavericks
period,
bring it right back in
the
here. Hugo
second
Watt behind
period,
the cage, trying to shake his way free. Luke Stevens plays up the
an
boards, kept it
overtime
nicely by a
winner.
good hustle there by Jake McLaughlin.
That's my
Koski spins
prediction
it down low.
right now.
Stevens, he's got
The way
Watt
the
in the center
Mavericks-
slot.
the way the
Walking
game
it down
works.
here for a shot that was blocked aside. Koski let it fly back to McLaughlin. Out at that right point.
Wow,
They'll drop it off
outstanding
now.
defense.
Koski in front. Tipped on that and a great save. Rebound. Mandolisi looked behind him to make sure he kept it out. And sure enough, he did, but a great bid there for the Mavericks.
Big power play opportunity, of course, for Kansas City. Just got back within 1 here, trailing 3-2, and now an opportunity to tie this game and really find your momentum all the way back.
That's a big opportunity.
That point, another good look there. Americans really stretching out towards the top of the zone. Once that puck
That's a
moves
big
to the top of the
opportunity for
circles,
me.
they're extending. Mavericks did a good job to find the man right in front between the
That's what I'm hoping for, bro.
The second period of Mavericks hockey is sponsored by Macadoodles, the official second period sponsor of the Kansas City Mavericks. They'll roll out this second unit. Tommy Muck, who had a power play goal on Saturday on a beautiful wrist shot. Here's Elias Rosen. Over to Muck, walks in the left circle, plays it down low, Borchard. Out in front, Kareen just past that far post. And the Americans able to rocket it out through center. Just under a minute to go here on the power play for the Mavericks. Muck skills it cross corner. Vanderbeck tried to keep it in, and the Mavericks able to punch it down ice once again. Tommy Muck and Elias Rosen have done a great job lately of quarterbacking that power play for the Mavericks. And they're out there right now, the two former Bemidji State Beavers.
Mavericks just trying to get set back up in that offensive zone on the power play, down to 30 seconds, see if they can get one more final setup.
Here's Elias Rosen, who's had the hot stick lately for the Mavericks. A turnover here at center ice. Here's Finley marching back up with Combs. Tries to feed Finley a shot. And that one careened wide. It looks like Starr got a piece of it. And now back up ice. Vanderbeck tried to feed Borchard. Borchard trying to pull and drag his way around Gagnon. He's roughed up there in the near corner.
You can
and now
still
Combs
score.
a little bit of room played in front for Saucerman, who has all day. And now the Americans back to even strength with Massacati stepping out of the box.
Yep, we're back to strength.
Here's Loren Ouellette trying to wheel his way in. Stood up by the Allen defense. Saucerman able to outlet on the backhand.
Mavericks caught a big break there on the end of that power play. A shorthanded chance for Finley, and that would have deflated the Mavericks after the last two goals.
Jeremko off now, left circle, a shot, and that was a rising shot from Harrison. Played back out in front, trying to get a tip on it was Jeremko. It spiked back out to center ice. Quick re-entry here. Wanting an offsides with the Americans, not getting it. And now stepping up, McLaughlin a shot. That one rises up over the crossbar. Mavericks bench wanted a call. Arms the referee stay down. Here's Hargrove back in left circle, driving wide. He'll scoop it behind the cage. Stab free by McCauley. McCauley will pick it up, try to stab it back to the point. Zipped across, but out of the zone. And sent back in. The Americans will have to tag up. And so some good looks on the Mavericks power play there. Unable to capitalize just past the halfway point here of the second period. And the Mavericks to within one.
Continue to hold that possession when you have it in the offensive zone. We talked about it. It eats up time, and it keeps the Americans away from their game in transition.
And now a floater from Luke Stevens. That one easily held on to by Mandalisi. We'll take immediate timeout. 9:28 to go here in the second period. The Mavericks trailing the Americans 3-2. You're watching and listening to Mavericks Hockey on Flow Sports and the Mavericks Hockey Network.
What makes an unbelievable moment? The unbelievable work that goes into it. That's why Community America provides unbelievable resources that go beyond banking, so everyone in KC can work towards achieving financial peace of mind. Community America Credit Union. Believe in unbelievable.
Coming up here for the Mavericks.
Well, we're back to one.
We'll steer it back to Muck at the left point. Muck took a look. He'll softly float it wide of the cage. Mandalisi out to play. He'll sweep it up the far side. And now right onto the stick of Chad Butcher. He'll motor through center ice, try to knife his way through the defense. Good job there by Theo Calvis. Calvis, who had a career-high 7 goals, 22 points during the regular season this year. Here's Tristan Mullen racing back the other way. They'll try and feed it down low. Spun back out in front by Carew. Gloving it down in the high slot was Jeremko. Carew receiving on the backhand. Had to roll off his stick to Jack Combs. He'll outlet on the money for Chad Butcher. Trying to swagger his way past. And a good stand up there at center by Carew. Right back in Finley a shot. That one blocked wide. And now marching back on with it are the Mavericks. They're able to slowly roll this one back in below the goal line. Americans, Elwood back up the near side. McLaughlin under some pressure. He's able to turn back through center ice and find a little bit of skating room over the center circle. He'll shovel this one into the near corner. Gagnon rifles it off the glass and out. And this, not enough for icing. Elias Rosen back to retrieve for the Mavericks.
Mavericks taking away that transition so far in period 2 from the Americans. That's helped them hunker things down defensively after that early goal from Allen that made it 3-0.
2 goals within the span of a minute and a half earlier this period. Here's Grant Hebert charging back up the other way. His shot, and that one into the catching glove of Shane Starrett. Interested in becoming a Kansas City Mavericks sponsor? Just call our front office at 816-252-7825 for more information. Mavericks have found themselves back to within this game, looking to beat the Americans for the first time this year in this building. Their last win at the Cable Dahmer against the Americans came last year back on January 15th. It was a 3-2 shootout win over the Americans. They win it back to the line. Here's Chris Larry. He'll rattle this one left of the net. Scoop back in deep, trying to play it Hargrove, and now Koski jumps on it for the Mavericks. Koski on his horse through center ice, tried to saucer it for Stevens. Didn't connect, and an icing here against the Mavericks.
Yeah, and this game here tonight, Joe, started the same exact way, almost identically to that game back on January 22nd here, and the Mavericks were able to claw back in that one as well. Just ran out of time down the stretch in the third period with the net empty. Hoping it doesn't get all the way to that point here tonight. They've evened it up where they've got closer into this one a lot earlier on tonight.
Yeah, Hugo Waugh had that game-winning goal last Wednesday in Allen. Luke Stevens added an empty netter. A 34-save shutout for Shane Starrett. Hank Crone wheeling his way out to the deep slot. A shot hit the pile of humanity out in front. Kicks out to center ice. Hugo Waugh tried to filter it through. Now Cole Koski to the slot, trying to feed it for Stevens down low. And now back onto the turning stick of Hank Crone. Outlet up ahead. Colby McCauley knifed off his stick. Starrett out to play. He'll steer it to the near corner. Hampered there by Colby McCauley was Konecki. Good layers here for the Mavericks. Taking a high stick, it looked like there, but no penalty coming. Here's Stevens back in. He tried to feed it off to Koski, but it was on his backhand. Koski given a good jolt there by Colby McCauley, who's at a physical game for the Americans. And now Hargrove up the gut. He'll play it right side. Larry back in behind the goal line. Wrapped up by Calvis. Tommy Muck now stepping to it. Punched ahead. Laurent Ouellette back on the move through center ice. He'll float this one in near corner. Saucerman getting to it first for the Americans. Saucerman, who's played over 300 career ECHL games. Played in Europe for a few years before making his return to the ECHL. This one scooped back out to center ice. Saucerman, as mentioned, who led the Americans defenseman with 38 points during the regular season. And out here's the rookie, Liam Finley. He'll swat this one into the far corner. Calves bumped off the play. Good second pressure here by Ouellette. But it's back to the line for Saucerman. Plays it down low, just out of reach. Williams, a turnaround shot. And holding the post there was Starrett. Back out Finley, who fills in at the right point for Williams. Here's Eric Williams through the goal mouth out in front. Block, never got through to Starrett. Loose puck, Finley able to keep it alive. And this one eventually punched all the way out. And this will be icing against the Mavericks.
Mavericks have some tired legs out there right now. You see Mullen leaning down, Harrison catching his breath, Ouellette as well. Tough icing there for the Mavericks. They're going to need to find a clear here early on because the Americans have just changed, got some fresh legs out there.
This second period brought to you by Macadoodles, the official second period sponsor of the Kansas City Mavericks. And like you said, Alex, a bunch of tired Mavericks out there right now. Looking to survive this surge here from the Americans. Kept in by Gagnon. He'll fire this one back around through both corners to the far side. Kept in there by Massacati down low. And a fortunate play here as it rolls back out to center ice, but right back in come the Americans. They'll hammer this one back around Starrett's net. Calvis on it. And able to pitchfork it out to center ice was Ryan Harrison. Gagnon scoops it across on the backhand. In stride now for Novak. Good close off there by Tommy Muck, who's had a solid game. Now Harrison's still out there for the Mavericks, trying to pry it free along those end boards. Muck Tying up in the near corner, swept across, and now the Mavericks finally find some skating room. Here's Mullen out through center ice. He'll play it right side. That one hopped over the stick of Calvis. They'll push it in further below the net. And now Grenade Bear scoops it up. He'll rattle it around far side. Josh Lamon punches it in further. That one hopped over the stick of Borchard. Knife free by Lamon. Giving a jolt there behind the cage. And we get a whistle here, looks like, with the net off its pegs. We'll step aside. 4:39 to go here in the second. The Mavericks trailing the Americans 3-2. You're watching and listening to Mavericks hockey on Flow Sports and the Mavericks Hockey Network.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
They said it would take me 4 years to graduate. They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Come on.
Offensive zone draw here. Mavericks trying to control it. And now Justin Young back through center ice for the Americans. Grande Bear stepping to a left circle, plays it out in front, try to connect with Novak in that right circle. Mavericks on the move through center ice, right to left. Carew try to feather it out in front. Now Jaremko just outside the near circle, trying to wrap it down low. That one out of the reach of Mullen, makes its way to the far side and swept back out by Larry. This one all the way down, but right in on Starrett, so no icing. Starrett, as we mentioned, playing in his 7th career ECHL playoff game here tonight. 54 games during the regular season for him, setting a record for the most in a single season in Mavericks history for goaltenders. Here's Hargrove back in, left circle, drops off, walking in, McCauley a shot, and he just whistled it wide on the glove side, and it skips out of play. Good chance there for the Americans. And we'll step aside here with 3:37 to go in the second period. It's the Americans 3 and the Mavericks 2. You're watching and listening to Mavericks Hockey on Flow Sports and the Mavericks Hockey Network.
Protecting your family and keeping your home safe and dry is the most important part of our job.
Second period, the Mavericks trailing the Americans 3-2. Shots dead even at 20. The Mavericks with 2 goals in this second period from Mullen and Rosen. They brought themselves back to win 1. Americans are going to go to work here deep below the Mavericks goal line. Koski scoops it up. He'll play it near side. Stevens on the move from center ice. He'll float this one in to the right of the cage, gunned around the boards. Receiving on the backhand there was Hank Crone right in front of the Maverick bench. They'll try and ladle it up ahead for a charging Colton Hargrove. He has 2 of the 3 goals for the Americans tonight. They tried to set him up in the slide. Good job there. On defense was Hugo Waugh, and he'll Koski, and he'll softly float it into the corner. Koski with 2 assists in his last 2 games, and the Americans able to hoist it back out. That one ricocheted off the skate of Hank Crone, and a lucky bounce there right for Calvis. He'll fire it up ice. Racing in there was Cade Borchard trying to pry it free along the end wall. Vanderbeck tried to steer it back to Muck. Vanderbeck back out high. Calvis, a little bit of room. Nice little stutter step. Wrist shot, and that one somehow made its way through to Mandalisi, who was able to hold it through traffic.
Good luck from Calvis at the top of the zone, the Mavericks' leading scorer for defensemen. And with 2:34 left to go in the the second period, an important 2:34. The Mavericks got to keep it right where it's at or try and tie this one up. They cannot allow one heading into the third period, trailing by multiple goals.
Theo Calvis, who played one game for the Americans back in 2019, the Southfield, Michigan native. Like Alex mentioned, an incredible year offensively for Calvis. 7 goals, 22 points in the regular season, a plus 19. That was the best across all Mavericks in that category this year. Long attire. Let's see if the Mavericks can capitalize here. Bringing it back up. Vice Borchard driving wide. Trying to play it up front. Loose puck. Sent just wide by A.J. Vanderbeek. Off that opportunity created by Cade Borchard on a solid net drive. Liam Finley tried to button hook across the line. Had it roll off his stick. Lamont taps it for Borchard. Now Colton Sauceman back on it for the Americans. He'll play it far side. Williams banks out to center ice right to Finley. Across for Combs. Combs whistles it left side. That one out of the reach of Chad Butcher. Now Elias Rosen back on it for the Mavericks. Here's Ryan Gagnon at center for the Americans. He played in all 72 regular season games this year for Allen in his first year in the ECHL. Big collision there between Rosen. Squirts free, wrist shot, and getting a piece of it was Starrett. Here's Lamont, he'll swing it up the far side, held in there by Larry. He'll punch it back in deep. Fournier wraparound chance, held off at the near post there by Starrett. Start and stop here by McLaughlin. He's able to filter it into the middle of the defensive zone. Angled further, Carew racing after it. Stick lifted there by Zach Massacati, and a good play there by Massacati. Turns it over to Muck, though. And now here's a chance out in front, set up by Jaremko, and sent down the slot, and shaking up on the play was Tristan Mullen as he hobbles to the bench. And the crowd showing their displeasure here for the officials. No call on the play there as Tristan Mullen appeared to have caught a stick in the midsection perhaps, and he heads off the ice in some discomfort. And now Harrison finishes his check in deep. Squirts free now. McCauley had it knifed off his blade. And now Harrison at center ice tried to filter it there for Koski. Calvis right back in, cuts across the slot, far side. You let it drive. That one whistled wide. And the caroms all the way back down in on Shane Starrett. 5 seconds to go in the period. Konepke has it in his own zone. That'll lead the clock down as we get the final horn. And so, Alex, the Mavericks, a couple goals, able to claw themselves back to within one.
Yeah, outside of the first couple of minutes, the Mavericks played by Tommy Muck, able to poke that stick up on that shot opportunity, send it up and out of play, and give the Mavericks a chance to win the draw, break out of the zone.
Yeah, Tommy Muck, a bright spot for the Mavericks all season. We heard head coach and GM Tato had talk a lot about his leadership, and it certainly manifested itself with guys such as Elias Rosen on that blue line, among other rookies.
Hopefully both.
Yeah, they played together 1 year in college, you know. Tommy Muck, a senior, Rosen, a freshman. He put in a good word here with the Mavericks coaching staff. Got his buddy here, and of course, like you said, made a big impact already.
Here's Josh Lamont out through center ice. He'll scoop this one into the far corner. Americans will fly this one high back into Kansas City territory. Back to retrieve it. Theo Calvis quickly pressure there, but a good evasion there on Mikhail Robideau. Onto the turning stick of Laurent Ouellette. He'll move up ice with Harrison and Lamont. Turn it over. Now Ouellette, a big jolt in front of the Mavericks bench as he hit his former teammate, Mikhail Robideau. Yeah, those two have been going at each other a little bit here all night. Expect that to continue, a 7-game series. Teams are going to look for a way to physically and mentally wear the opposition down. Laurent Ouellette, the only remaining player from that 2019 playoff year from Kansas City. Here's Jake McLaughlin at the left point. Nice little stutter step. He'll sweep this one back and around the cage. Jaremko scoops it up. He's got Carew out in front and Mullen behind the cage. Mullen tried to jab it free. Carew still out in the low slot. And now the Americans try and filter it up on the wing. It's Jack Combs. He'll softly play it back and behind the goal line. Jack Combs with a career-high 95 points during the regular season this year. Second across the entire ECHL. Got his first playoff goal in the ECHL tonight. Here's Luke Stevens. Outlets up the far side. Unable to clear it, though, was Hugo Watt, kept him by the Americans. They'll play it to Combs, a shot, and that one broke off the glove of Starrett, right onto the stick of Luke Stevens, who steps back on with it. Stevens pulls up right side, trying to feed it across for Cole Koski. Koski button hooks now, left circle, wrist shot, and that one broke off Mandalisi into the end boards. And this one dropped back out to center ice, back to retrieve Nate Konepke in his first year in the ECHL. Celebrated his 24th birthday a couple weeks ago, the U-Nebraska Omaha product. And now Cade Borchard weaving his way down the slot. He'll play it to space in the near corner. Americans looking to muscle it out. Good play there by Lamond and momentarily keep it alive. Hargrove steps back on with it over the line, far side. Pulls up far half boards. They'll drop it back in deep for Hank Crone. Spun it through the goal mouth. No one home for the Americans. Now this one scraped off the glass and back out by Vanderbeck. Mavericks bring it right back in. Played in front. What a chance there by Vanderbeck. Might have got a piece of that far post. On a beautiful 2-on-1 setup. They'll play it out high to Muck, top of the right circle. Stutter steps. They'll play it across. Left side. Wrist shot from Vanderbeck. And that one right into the breadbasket of Mandalisi. We'll step aside with play heating up and a skirmish developing behind the net. With 12:36 to go, it's the Americans 3 and the Mavericks 2. You're watching and listening to Mavericks Hockey on Flow Sports and the Mavericks Hockey Network.
What makes for a great vacation depends on who you ask. Are you looking to get away or bring everyone together? Do you want to get outside and play? Or see a play at the plate? Do you want to feed your soul or stuff your face? Fortunately, however you operate, I've got you covered. The name's Missouri, but you can call me Mo. And I have just one question. What's your MO?
Experience the best Mexican cuisine at Carmen's Cantina.
Welcome back inside the Gable Dom Arena. The Mavericks trailing the Americans 3-2, 12:36 to go in the third period. And the Mavericks just with a golden chance. That one coming off the stick of A.J. Vanderbeck.
Yeah, Borchard and Vanderbeck, kind of a little short 2-on-1. Vanderbeck gave it over to Borchard, right back to Vanderbeck, and just missing on that far side, as you mentioned. A good look from Borchard to give that back up, draw the attention of the defenseman, and allow Vanderbeck to look at the net.
A one-goal game here. We talked about it during the second intermission. Most of the games during this regular season between these two teams decided by a goal.
Guys, if this is
Mavericks looking to pull even here. They trail up by one. Americans play it back into Kansas City territory. Tommy Muck up ahead to Carew. One more for Mullen. Right in on Mandalisi, who comes out to play. It'll steer behind the cage for Massacati. Under pressure there, quickly tag team by a couple Mavericks. Good hustle there by Calvis to keep it alive and ricochet off his skate. And now far circle, Gagnon. Rockets went up ahead, charging in A-Bear. He's got a man with him. Finley, it was Novak, rather, who tried to kick it to the stick as he moved up ice with A-Bear.
Score a goal.
Novak rattles it back in deep, and now turning with it is Rosen. He'll feed it up ahead.
We almost got plenty of time.
Mullen collides with Gagnon right in front of the bench, and they jostle again. Mullen took a whack behind the shins there from Gagnon after the play, and this was dropped back in by the Mavericks. Physicality certainly a theme here throughout this game. We don't anticipate that to fade throughout the rest of this series. They try to spring Hugo Watt, the attacking line, who had 5 goals against the Americans this year. Americans would bring it right back in. Koski filters one up ahead for Watt. He's got Stevens to his left. Tried to finesse his way past the defense. And now we get an offsides on the Mavericks. Third period brought to you by RMI, the official third period sponsor of the Mavericks. RMI Golf and Utility Vehicles, the official golf cart of the Kansas City Mavericks. Light period in the light game in terms of penalties so far tonight. Just 2 power plays for the Americans, just 1 for the Mavericks. That came back in that second period. It's been a pretty feisty season series. They combined for 28 penalty minutes at least in 4 of the 6 meetings this year, but as we could expect, pretty disciplined game from both sides here tonight.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of things let go as well by the referees tonight, and that was earlier on. We'll see if they crack down on that kind of play as this third period wears on.
Approaching the halfway point here of the third period, it's the Americans 3 and the Mavericks 2. Lamon brings it right back in. He tried to lead it up ahead for Borchard. And now it's wrapped back up near side, held in by Sandbrook, right point. He'll play a deep slot. Vanderbeek a shot, and that one Kareem just wide. Now Lamon jumps on it far side. Here's Borchard curling out to the top of the left circle. Dropped off for Konecki. They'll throw it back in deep. They stay on sides. Lamon took a rock there along the end wall. And now Sauceman tries to gun it up the boards and into the Americans bench with 10:05 to go here in the third.
Not many big chances for either side, just that Vanderbeek and Borchard chance so far. As of note, both sides tightening up defensively, as you would expect down the stretch of this third period, 10 minutes in. Talked about the limited power play chances for both sides. The Mavericks could certainly use one. See if they can keep their feet moving, maybe draw a penalty here down the final 10.
Yeah, Mavericks with a ton of success on home ice during the regular season on the power play. Unfortunately, like we mentioned, just one opportunity on the man advantage here tonight. Sandbrook tried to whistle it through towards the net. And now a bouncer eventually settled down by Chris Mailari for the Americans. Mailari in his third consecutive playoff run for the Americans. As mentioned, he played 26 games for the Mavericks back in the 2020-2021 season. Sandbrook trying to deflect that puck. And now Konecki giving a good jolt behind the cage by Hargrove. They try to center it out in front for Colby McCauley out of his reach. And back down towards Mandalisi. Mandalisi, who made 50 saves in a 5-4 shootout win against the Wichita Thunder in the Americans' regular season finale on Saturday. They've lost 2 of their last 3 coming into this game, have the Americans. One of those against the Mavericks.
Of course, Allen needed that game. They needed a win, at least in regulation, and went to a shootout to secure that second seed in this matchup against the Mavericks.
Now some jousting in the near corner of the Mavericks zone. Bear tried to set it up in front, still with it. Plays it out high. Massacati across the line, holding on to it there was Gagnon. This one backing it back down low. Muck there to cut it off. He'll filter it for Calvis, who starts the rush. Harrison, he's got Borchard with him. He'll softly float this one in behind the cage. Gagnon under pressure there as he was badgered by Borchard. And now on the near wing, Fournier. And this one backhanded in by Hebert. Rosen spins off the check. Koski collided with Fournier in the near corner of the Maverick zone, and now McLaughlin behind his own cage. Stefan Fournier, who was acquired from the Wichita Thunder by Allen earlier this year. 6 goals and 11 points in 20 games with the Americans this season. Approaching 300 career ECHL games played. Here's Hugo Waugh. He'll play it off to McLaughlin right in front of the bench. Angled to the line, but quickly turned over. Americans bring it right back in. Far circle, dropped off for a shot, and that one blocked wide. Good job by McLaughlin to get a piece of it with his skate. And now wheeling out high was Butcher. Bouncing puck swatted at there by Cole Koski. Swept across in the high slot. That one rolled under the stick of Jack Combs, who swept this one back around to the far side. Sent towards the net. That one blocked off the high glass behind the net. Stays in play. Now with a burst of speed, Finley out to the top of the zone, being watched closely there by Rosen. Drops it off. Sauceman a shot. That one waffle boarded aside by Shane Starrett. This one scraped off the glass and out by Stevens. And now Koski up ice with Waugh. He's got Waugh to his right. Eventually knifed off his blade. Now he collides along the end boards. Mavericks looking to pressure here. Set out in front. Sandbrook a shot. And that was turned aside by that left pad of Mandalisi. What a chance there for Jordan Sandbrook.
Big response from the Mavericks offensively after it was the Americans with a lengthy of possession. They had some chances on their end, but a good find, like you said, for Sandbrook, and just couldn't beat that right leg pad.
Sandbrook with 6 assists in his last 5 games. Nearly had the tying goal there. Here's Tristan Mullen right in the neutral zone, and now Sandbrook again. Mullen, center circle. That is pass blocked. Americans send it right back in. Jordan Sandbrook, a very important member of this Mavericks roster. We've mentioned it. He won that Kelly Cup last year with the Florida Everblades at 3 points during that playoff run. 28 points this season, a career high for him. He was a +6 over the Mavericks' most recent 4-game winning streak. Here's A.J. Vanderbeek. He'll drop it right side, Lamb down the flank. Try to feed it back for Vanderbeek. Now the Americans able to break it out. Gagnon hits it in stride. Here's Novak, tried to center it there for Justin Young. Had it tied up there by Calvis. A good defensive play by Theo. Near side of the red line, scooped up by Lamb. He's got Borchard heading towards the net. Behind him is Vanderbeek. He's driven into the corner boards there by Zach Massacati, who's had a solid game for the Americans. Squares free now for Muck. He'll play it on the half wall. Vanderbeek tried to play it in front for Borchard, who was in alone near that near post. And now some sparring for just inside the Mavericks offensive blue line. Squirts free. Calvis has to hustle back to it. Had his stick lifted. And now the Americans bring it right back in. Down the slot. Finley played it across. And Combs was below the goal line. Played back out high. Sauceman and one timer from Finley. And that one answered by Shane Starrett. And the pace picking up here with 5:19 to go. The Mavericks still need one. You're watching and listening to Mavericks Hockey on Flow Sports and the Mavericks Hockey Network.
What makes an unbelievable moment? The unbelievable work that goes into it. That's why Community America provides unbelievable resources that go beyond banking, so everyone in KC can work towards achieving financial peace of mind. Community America Credit Union. Believe in unbelievable.
Third period sponsor here of the Mavericks. And the Americans have it in the offensive zone. They'll flow in towards that. That one gloved by Starrett. We'll take another break with 5:14 to go here in the third period. Mavericks down 3-2. You're watching and listening to Mavericks Hockey on Flow Sports and the Mavericks Hockey Network.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
They said it would take me 4 years to graduate. They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time. Courses on your time. Graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Ollie's deals are so good.
14 to go here in the third period. Another defensive zone draw here. Jake Jaremko will dig down and take this one to Shane Starrett's right. Steered back to Sauceman at the point. Finley for the Americans shoots it to the opposite corner. Tristan Mullen jumps on it there. He'll feed it to the near corner for Rosen. One blocked wide. Lorenz scoops it up. Far corner. Back and behind the cage. He tried to feed Jaremko. Wrapped up that left side. Scooped out to center ice right under the stick of Combs. And now the Americans on the move through center ice. Here's Finley a shot. That one blocked up into the protective netting as we get a whistle. I'll apologize. That was Butcher. Single game ticket packs are available. Get your tickets today visiting KCMavericks.com. Use the Mavericks mobile app presented by Raven Eye or call the ticket office at 816-252-7825. Again, playoff tickets available on the Mavericks mobile app presented by Raven Eye. Face-off coming to Starrett's left. And this one guided back out to center ice, rifled right back in. Starrett let it go through his skates. Tommy Muck with a little stutter step. He'll find some room now as he winds it up through center. Tommy Muck, a nice little shake and make to the left circle. Still with it, getting past a couple, turns it on net. That one broke off. Mandolisi into the end wall. Mavericks are going to go to work here, approaching 4 minutes to play in regulation. They're down by 1. And now Konecny back on it in his own zone. Here's Borchard. That was Sandberg, rather. Konecny up ahead now to Vanderbeek. He'll float one in. Mandolisi up behind his own cage. Wraps it up the near side, held in by Sandbrook. He'll throw it back in behind. Borchard. He's got Vanderbeek out in front with him. Vanderbeek pushes it to the near corner. Tried to jab it up towards the line. And now Lamb in for support. Jousting along the half boards. Back in deep right corner, Lamb. Lamb receives it from Vanderbeck, rather. Try to steer towards Borchard. Chops at it, got it to Konepke left point. Off now to Borchard. Across the line to Sandberg. A long wrist shot blocked in front by a kneeling by Larry. And now the Americans fly it out to center ice, right under the stick of Crone. But good job by Konepke getting back on the fence to tie up Hank Crone.
Good takeaway from Nate Konepke. He knew he was one-on-one with that bouncing puck towards the cage. Able to do his job, take away Crone.
Koski cruising back in. He tried to feed it to Rose in the high slot, just to the left of his blade. And now this one rifled back in by Jake McLaughlin.
Mavericks getting to that weird time under 3 minutes. They got Shane Starrett down to our left, trailing by 1. But in game 1 of the playoffs, we'll see if Tato heads a little more desperate.
And a fortunate icing call here against the Americans. This will be an offensive zone draw coming up for the Mavericks. Third period brought to you by RMI. Once again, the official third period sponsor of the Kansas City Mavericks. The Mavericks were 15, 11, and 8 in one-goal games this year during the regular season. We talked about it. 4 of the 6 meetings against the Americans this year were decided by 1 goal. One of those was an overtime win for the Americans here at the Cable Dom Arena back in early January. That was the first meeting between these two teams this year. And now here's Elias Rosen, the Swedish-born defenseman, off to McLaughlin. He'll rocket that one out through center ice, ricochet off the stick, and out of play all the way from center ice. This will keep the face-off at center.
Expect the Mavericks to get more desperate here with 2:19 to go, trailing by a goal. Use their changes wisely, get who they need out there on the ice. They still do have their 1 timeout. We'll see if they use that here at some point. But expect the Mavericks to try and stretch the ice here and look for chances.
Face off of the center ice logo, the Koski Stevens Waugh line out there now for the Mavericks. Muck and Calvis on the back end. Here's Muck right in front of the bench. He'll rifle it across for Waugh, deflects in, barreling it after it is Hugo Waugh. Koski with a good jolt there, and they're going to call him for a penalty here. As slow to get up, I believe, was Colton Saucerman. Calvis touches up, and we get a whistle here. Saucerman back to his feet in his own zone after a big hit by Cole Koski. And that's going to put the Mavericks in a tough position here with 1:58 to go here in regulation as Koski glides off. And the call will be an elbow on Cole Koski. It'll be the 3rd penalty assessed against the Mavericks tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say initially, I'm not sure I agree with that call. I waited to hear what the call was. They gave him an elbowing. It was hard to tell. It looked like he raised it a bit at the end, but for me, in a 3-2 hockey game, and we talked about being disciplined. Can't fully blame Koski there, but a really just tough break and a pill to swallow for the Mavericks. They got to find a way now with under 2 to go, shorthanded.
Mavericks to the great chiropractic penalty kill here with under 2 minutes to go in regulation. The Americans have 1 power play goal here tonight. That came from Jack Combs at the end of the first period. Here's Farmer back out top. A one-timer. That one failed as Hargrove broke his stick on the play. Hustles back to the bench. And now Tommy Muckle speed his way out through center ice. Hits Mullen up in stride. Drops there. Jaremko right circle. Jaremko shot. And that one just sailed wide on that far side of Mandalisi.
Great look for the Mavericks. That was probably going to be one of their best chances shorthanded. Watch Shane Starrett to our left.
Right back in come the Mavericks. Jaremko right circle. A shot. That one careened off the glass and behind the cage. Mullen pressuring. Starrett started to creep his way out towards the hash marks, but he has to retreat now as the Americans have possession. It's Chris Mailari behind his own net, patiently waiting the breakout. Almost had it taken off his stick there by Josh Lamon. Just the guy you want on the ice if you're the Mavericks. He had 4 shorties this year. Blowing a tire, Hank Crone in the far corner. Hargrove kicks it up top. Setting up near side was Saucerman. Hargrove down low, Crone back to Hargrove rather. And now McLaughlin quickly closed on, able to feed up the boards but not out. Sent back down low by the Americans. Crone back out, back at the top, the left circle out high now for set up for Saucerman near side. He'll feed it rink wide. That one hopped over the stick of Hargrove, and now near side swept back in deep. Combs taps it further for Hargrove. Americans just trying to play keep away now. Here's Soshman. He'll zip it through the seam, and that one batted out of midair there by Combs. And taking a big hit there was Crone behind the net as he was drilled by Jordan Sambrook. Sambrook comes out to front Soshman. He'll filter it down low. Swept in front by Crone. And a good job there by Shane Starrett to get the stick on it. Just 5 seconds to go here, though. McLaughlin still in his own zone. He'll spin it up ice. And that will do it as time runs out on the Mavericks as they fall by a score of 3-2 to the Americans in Game 1.
Tough break with that penalty there.
Well, that did not go as I planned. They've lost by 1 point. God damn it. Well, I'm going to end the stream. Hopefully the Mavericks will win another 3 games. So, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.